Now we stay in this region. Syrian Defense Minister Murhaf Abu Qasra held a meeting with Kurdish leader Mazloum Abdi. After the meeting, the Syrian Defense Minister has announced that they had agreed to a comprehensive ceasefire with the Kurdish forces. In a social media post, Syria's Abu Qasra wrote that a ceasefire had been agreed on all fronts and on points for military deployment in north and northeast Syria. He further added that the implementation of the deal would begin immediately. There has been disagreements between the Syrian government led by Ahmed al-Shara and the Syrian Democratic Forces over power centralization and regional autonomy, which sparked clashes earlier this month. Now for this discussion, we are joined by John Rossomando. He's the president of Viking Research Associates and geopolitical analyst, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, John, for joining us again. Good to see you. Thank you. Now, given this complex dynamics between Syrian government and Kurdish forces, how do you assess the significance of the ceasefire in terms of Syria's broader territorial political stability? And do you think this could hold, or is it just a temporary measure?
Well, I think it depends a lot on Turkey, particularly because Turkey has a lot of influence over the interim government in Damascus. There are serious differences, not just in regional autonomy, but over the vision of Syria. The HTS government in Damascus wants an Islamic theocracy. The Kurdish, Arab, and Syriac Christian coalition in the northeast wants a secular civil state. And then also you have the massacres by jihadists loyal to the regime in Damascus of Alawites and Druze that has the Northeast administration reluctant to give up its arms.
And since you have mentioned Turkey, given U.S.'s alliance with both Kurdish groups and Turkey, how might this ceasefire affect Washington's balancing act in the region?
Well, I think that the Trump administration sent a strong message to al-Shara at the UN that he has to leave the Northeast alone, and that he has to respect the minorities. So I think that they're sending a message. President Trump is a strong ally of Erdogan's and has given him great deference, but I think that Secretary of State Rubio sent a strong message.
And how will the U.S. military's role in Syria be impacted by the ceasefire between Syrian government and Kurdish forces?
Well, I think things will remain unchanged. I think you have the status quo. The U.S. military's interest is ensuring that we don't have a resurrection of the ISIS caliphate that we had a decade ago. So I think that they'll remain there for the foreseeable future.
Do you think if U.S. could use this influence to help shape a lasting political resolution, particularly in Syria under Ahmed al-Shara's leadership, or should it take more hands-off approach?
Well, I think the United States has to be a more active player in mediating the different factions, because you have a fundamental difference in terms of the goals of each faction. Al-Shara wants Islamic theocracy and Arab supremacy. The minorities want a federal Syria like you have in the United States, and like in India, where you have your federal government and your state governments.
And how can U.S. balance between supporting minority groups such as the Kurdish groups or the Kurdish autonomy while ensuring that Syrian territory stays integral?
Well, I think that's really up to the Syrian people. I think there should be a plebiscite as to the future of Syria. Let's not forget that the borders of the countries in the Middle East were drawn by the British and the French. They're not like natural states like you might have elsewhere in the world. because back in the 1920s, the Alawite, I mean, not the Alawite, the Druze were proposed as a separate state under the French rule.
And what's your analysis about the current leadership? Some might have criticized Ahmad al-Shara's government for not giving enough seats or voice to minorities.
Well, I think that you have a very strong Arab nationalism and Islamic Sunni supremacy going on that is supported by Turkey. Turkey wants a centralized, one-party state in which the minorities have no say.
And what were the immediate triggers, going back to this news, what were the immediate triggers that led to this recent flare-up in Aleppo between Syrian government forces and Kurdish units?
Well, you ended up having, both have been on edge against each other for weeks, and you ended up having skirmishes. And I'm glad to see that you have a ceasefire on this, because it just shows how fragile the peace is in Syria. It's very easy for the country to go back into full-out civil war.
How do you think that minorities will react to a new government and the ceasefire that has been agreed? Do you think they would be supportive, and do you think they support the current government under Ahmad al-Shara?
They don't support it, because it hasn't shown that it's any different than what you had during the Syrian civil war, where you had one gang fighting against another, causing mayhem. I mean, you've had genocidal war crimes against the Alawites along the coast back in March. You had the genocidal attacks by jihadis against the Druze over the summer. So I think that al-Shara is going to have to learn how to be a compromiser.
And what's the significance of this particular location, Aleppo? How has the control and governance of Aleppo changed since the toppling of former President Bashar al-Assad?
Well, Aleppo is a diverse cosmopolitan city with a large Kurdish population, which is why you have Kurdish SDF forces there, alongside HTS government forces, and they fought against each other throughout the 13-year civil war.
And what more can you tell us about the ceasefire agreement that has been reached? Are there any measures that are being taken to ensure the minorities' safety?
Well, I think you have a deconfliction for now, in which they've agreed not to fight. I hope that cooler heads can prevail, and that Mr. al-Shara will learn to compromise, having a strong central government, but with respecting the rights of local governments to carry out municipal and police functions.
With that, I would like to thank John Rosamondo for joining us for this discussion and sharing the insight throughout. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Europe. A building partially collapsed in central Madrid near the Opera House today, leaving 3 people injured with 1 in serious condition. Authorities have deployed firefighters and ambulances to the scene, where sniffer dogs are being used into the search for any potential victims. The building, which appears to be under restoration, has collapsed without warning, and it is still unclear if anyone is still trapped inside. Emergency services are still working quickly to assess the damage and locate any missing persons. This is all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news.